Yo, you guys, I'm back with another video here to wrap up the end of the year with a list of my favorite films of this year. I have seen 50 of them, and I'm going to do a opposite list of this, and I can't wait to get to those. But let's start off on a good note. Now, these are just my opinion. Now, I had to write these down just because my mind was shifting on what I wanted to be on the list because there were a lot of great films this year, but there were also a lot of duds as well, which I will get to in another video. But to start off my list, number 10, I have Pearl starring Mia Goth. This is a prequel to X, and I saw this one with my brother. This is very haunting, disturbing. I cannot wait to see a sequel, which I heard is also in the works. And Mia Goth is was freaking amazing in both of these films. So yes, number 10 we have Pearl. Number 9 is Fresh, starring Sebastian Stan. This was released on Hulu. Yes, Hulu. And it also stars Daisy Marie Jones, I believe is her name. Correct me if I'm wrong on that in the comments. But this is the first time I've ever seen her in anything at all. I believe she's in Where the Crawdads Sing. I believe she was also in that film, which was a pretty good film. But this film was a completely different side I've seen of Sebastian Stan, and it was really haunting, disturbing, and I loved it. And I felt very uncomfortable, but Sebastian Stan as a charming cannibalist married man is just something I was expecting. I was not expecting to see, especially since his wife was helping abduct these girls and just cut their limbs off and mash them up and eat them. It was truly disgusting, and I mean, ugh. But yes, this was a really great film. So number 9 is Fresh. Number 8 is Pixar's Turning Red. Now, like I said in my other video, there were a lot of controversy surrounding this with the whole, you know, the the whole the main character of the film going through, puberty and her experiencing, having feelings for boys for the first time, and a lot of people were upset about that, but that's just the nature of growing up. And this being about an Asian American, a relationship between Asian woman Asian teenager with her, a relationship between an Asian teenager with her mother was something done very beautifully. I love the message throughout the film, and I think that we need more story. After seeing this, I would love to see more stories Asians Asians American of the Asian culture, or what of something that does not always involve, you know, because we need more stories told of us about, you know, our experiences as, people of color. So I thought this was a really great film. So yes, number 8 is Turning Red. Number 7, I have Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery. Now I just saw this film like just now, and I was wondering if it was going to be just as good or better than the first one. I do love the production design, the costume design, the ensemble cast is great as usual. I do like the first one better than this one. I was kind of I mean, I kind of had a feeling who the killer was going to be. They threw me off on, a couple times, but I mean, Janelle Monáe definitely steals the show in this whole movie. Janelle Monáe and Daniel Craig were magnificent. Great cinematography as well. Love the score. If they did another one for this, I would not be upset. So, yes, number seven is Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Number six, I have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I did not see the live action version of this at all, and I might not watch it just because when it comes to Disney and their live action films, they are very they're not quite up to par with the animated ones. Uh, with the exception being Jungle Book, which I think is 10 times better than the animated film. But other than that, all the other ones are just okay or just mediocre. But this film, with it being in stop motion, takes a more heartfelt and darker approach to the Pinocchio story. And like I said before in my review for this, if this came out earlier in the year or in the middle of the year, I definitely wouldn't doubt did definitely would not doubt that it would get a slew of Oscar nominations, including Best Picture or Best Animated Film. And it's unfortunate that this came out at towards the end of this year, but this definitely shocked me, and I would prefer people watch this whether that whether that be the live action Pinocchio or the original animated Pinocchio. But everything in stop motion just adds a more, I guess, more you feel more connected to the characters and to the story overall with everything being in stop motion. So I definitely do love this film, and it was a shocker that this film even made my list. But yes, number six, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Number five, we have Prey, which was also released on Hulu. I did not watch the original Predator movies at all. I just saw this. I was interested, heard a lot of buzz about the film, and Amber Midthunder, magnificent, magnificent job. I want to see more action films led by women actresses because usually if they're in a film, they're the damsel in distress. But with the last two Mission Impossible films, they've strayed away from that, and even the women in in those two films was never really a damsel in distress. But this film was really badass, and I actually want to go back and watch the Predator films to see how those compare to this. But yes, this was really awesome. So five is Prey. At four, I have Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Now this was a film more about overcoming grief, depression, and Tony Stark got rid of not got rid of it, but he dealt with his PTSD from the Avengers with his technology, and that's the same way Shuri deals with her depression and losing T'Challa through her technology as well. So that there's a common interest in that. And while there was some humor in this film, it was more about, like I said, overcoming grief and loss and how to move on from losing a loved one. Because not only did we lose T'Challa, we lost Chadwick Boseman. And while this was a great film, I don't. I think that the story overall is better than it eclipse the action scenes. The action scenes don't really matter. It was fun, and Namor is definitely a better villain than Killmonger, in my opinion, because while Killmonger was preaching for equality for his own people, he was also slaughtering his own people. I mean, he killed his girlfriend, and Namor and Killmonger, they had the same idea, except Namor was killing his own people. And you know, when you're faced with a person that's another person of color who grew up with pretty much the same trauma as you, it's kind of hard to move past the idea of not wanting to work together to fight against your oppressors. But this was a really great film, great story. I don't know if it's as th- better than the first one, but I can't wait to rewatch this film when it comes out on Disney Plus. So number 4 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Number 3, another comic book film, is The Batman. Now, when this was first released, I had no idea what to expect. When I heard they was rebooting it, I was not too excited about it because we just had Ben Affleck, and rebooting it again just didn't make any sense to me. But when they released a picture with Robert Pattinson next to the Batmobile, and in the first trailer, I thought, I'll give it a shot. And this film was magnificent. Matt Reeves is definitely a comic book fan, unlike Nolan. Nolan seems like he doesn't really care about Batman at all. And with Reeves, he took a more Batman the Animated Series approach to the character. It seems like he was inspired by not only not only was he inspired by Year One, The Long Halloween, it also seems like it took aspects from the Arkham video games and the animated series from the '90s because it felt like I was playing the the Arkham video games, and it also felt like I was watching the animated series from the '90s. The the score was great, direction, the the villains were awesome. I love Robert Pattinson's Batman. And this is possibly one of the only films where he's Batman throughout like a majority of the film, and I can't wait to see what his his Bruce Wayne looks like heading into the next two sequels because he in this film, since it's his second year, Bruce Wayne is more of a back burner and doesn't really care about his family legacy or any of that. So I can't wait to see what Matt Reeves brings to the Batman 2 and 3. And I've seen this film like 5 times already. Yeah, the runtime is long for this film, but I don't mind it because this is possibly one of the best live action adaptations of a Batman story because it feels like Batman, the world's greatest detective. So yes, number 3 is the Batman. Number 2, I have Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. Now, anything with Jordan Peele, I'm going to watch. Ever since Get Out, I've been hooked. He's had everyone hooked, line, and sinker. Now, I think this is definitely a step up from Us. Us was okay. You know, some people said it was a disappointment, but I think that was merely because they kept comparing it to Get Out. And I think that's completely unfair. But I do think that this is his best, in my opinion, his probably his second best film. And Kiki Palmer, Daniel Kaluuya, great chemistry together. I'd love to see them in more films. Kiki Palmer definitely killed it. The uh, Stephen Yeun also did a magnificent job. I love the direction, the cinematography, the visual effects in this film. I've seen like the Batman. I've seen this film 5 times since it has been released. So yes, magnificent film. Note by Jordan Peele. And finally, for my number one film of 2022, I have Everything Everywhere All at Once. This film is everything you want in a film. This is essentially what Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness should have been. I said it in my review, and I said it in my last video. And this is a great way to include, time traveling and dimension jumping. But this is more about family, and the moral message of the story is the life that you want is not always going to make you happy. And the grass isn't green on the other side, like I've said in my previous video. And I definitely want this film to win an award so bad. Michelle Yeoh definitely deserves an Academy Award for her performance. This deserves Best Picture, Best Directors, Best Original Screenplay, all the awards. But yes, I just like the previous two films on this list. I've seen this film way too many times already. But yes, those are my top 10 films of 2022. What do you guys think of my list? Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and to see you guys in the next video.